Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck. I teach parenting and family communication through the lens of self-government all over the world. And in this video, I'm talking about 10 techniques to calm down any child in a minute. I'm going to be sharing with you some of my gold nuggets today, okay? Some of the best techniques that you could ever have for parenting. But I want you to know that these techniques are part of a greater picture. So we're not talking about different types of parenting here. We're talking about the same type of parenting. So I often call this parenting the teaching self-government model of parenting. That's the type of parenting I teach all over the world, which involves a person learning to control themselves. That means parent and child. So what we're talking about here is creating a system, a type of communication and skills associated with that make it so that parent and child can be in control at any given time. And I do want to say, it says any child in the title, but really we're talking about probably ages 2 years old and up. Okay, for these, my children could do a lot of this stuff at age 2, and I definitely could practice a lot of the principles and techniques myself way before age 2, but they're going to respond the best once they have a little bit more cognitive ability in their prefrontal cortex. So let's talk about these techniques now. So tantrums and attitude problems, arguments, these things are common enough, right? We might even be thinking that these are normal parts of life. But did you know that if you set it up correctly in your home, they don't happen very often? I mean, unless you get a child who's maybe diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder, or maybe they have some sort of processing difference, which is like maybe autism spectrum or something like that. But here's the deal. I started doing all of these things I'm talking about even with children with processing differences. So for many years, I took in treatment foster children. They were all between the ages of 12 and 18. And then I raised my own children the same way, with the same principles and skills and techniques that we're going to be talking about. And these children had incredible success. So these treatment foster children, they all had things like ADHD, OCD, ODD, FAS, RAD, kleptomania, compulsive lying, spectrum, sensory issues, bipolar, those types of things that seem like, okay, is anything ever going to work? And what I'm telling you, I promise, works for your normal run-of-the-mill processing child, as well as children who process at a different frequency, speed, and duration, okay? These are techniques that you can use forever, and truly, they are life-changing, because when a person learns self-government, they learn to understand the cause and effect of any given situation, and then they possess a knowledge of their own behaviors so that they can control them. So what this means is that they learn how to change their own heart. So if you as a parent learn self-government, then you have a heart change. You shift toward following principle and truth, which is why I often call the type of parenting I teach truth-based parenting, as opposed to being manipulative, which so many parenting programs end up promoting manipulation, even when they say they're not. They say certain things are logical or maybe even loving, but they're not necessarily. Oftentimes, they're manipulative. So we want truth-based parenting, which means everything's on the table. Everybody knows everything. Nobody's fooling or tricking or manipulating anyone. Everyone feels comfortable and united throughout every interaction that the parents will have, even one that leads to a correction. So what does that look like? So we're talking about how to calm down a child with certain techniques in a minute. Now, I will say there's some upfront work that needs to be done before we get that 1 minute of calming somebody down, okay? So bear with me on that. You've got to learn how to set it up so that 1 minute calm down is actually possible. If you're hoping just to trick a child into a calm down by handing them a cookie or something like that, that's actually called a manipulation. And you don't want to get into the habit of doing that. Not only does it increase entitlement for you and for your child, but it's actually not good for your bond or your relationship. And they don't learn any skill for success, so then they just keep manipulating for more cookies, I guess. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to set this up. But before we do, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Click that subscribe button and don't forget the notification bell too, so that you can get notified when other great videos about self-government and parenting come out on this channel. Besides, when you subscribe, it helps more people see these videos, and they help so many families. So how do you set up this environment? Well, it starts by proactively teaching your children what it means to be a family. We start with the Teaching Self-Government Parenting course. The first step is actually to understand the principle of self-government, which we've had a teeny exposure to here, and then we understand a family vision and how to create a plan for our family and where we're headed. And we go through the process of getting everybody invested in that picture of who we're becoming as the Peck family. After that, we're going to pre-teach skills that our children need for success. Some of those key skills are skills we call the 4 basic skills. They are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. If a person does not get the opportunity to learn skills like this that are very deliberate and pre-planned, that decrease anxiety and promote them making good decisions in the future, then they might get reactive, and then you'll end up with more arguments on your hands. Then you'll have to resort to manipulating in order to stop the arguing. That just means you got yourself caught in a power struggle. So what are some of these skills? I don't have time to teach all of them here on this video because we want to talk about how to actually do that correction that happens in a minute. And there are other videos where you can learn more about these skills. But I will share with you the steps for following an instruction, because that following an instruction skill is the baseline skill. If a child will not choose to follow an instruction from parents, then a parent cannot actually parent the child. This is significant. So if a child is not being calm, they're going out of control, and you're feeling like you need to calm them down, really that gauge for calming them down is, can they follow instruction? Will they follow instruction? Okay, now I've got to get them back to a place of following an instruction. So what are the steps to following an instruction? To follow an instruction, you look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body. Say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, which is a whole other skill, and then you do the task immediately and then check back. This could be any instruction. An instruction such as, I need you to close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Aha, remember that one. That's called a calming instruction. And when we have a child who's going out of control, that's going to be an instruction that we are going to want to use to help them get back into control. But it could be anything. I need you to take the garbage out. I need you to take your shoes from the front door into your bedroom. You know, there's lots of different things that we tell our children that are just basic instructions. Tell me what happened at school today. That's an instruction. So hopefully your children can always follow those instructions from you, and then they'll be prepared to follow a calming instruction when the time arrives. So another thing that my children understand is how I'm going to correct problems when they go wrong. There are certain skills that I know as a parent. We call them the 5 teaching styles in the Teaching Self-Government model. And one of those teaching styles is how to do an effective correction. So effective corrections can actually happen really quickly. So maybe somebody doesn't follow an instruction, meaning they're not keeping a calm face, voice, and body. I can say to that person, I can do a correction which starts with a description. I describe what happened, describe what should have happened, why that would be a good idea, what they earned, and then we practice things the right way. By the time we get to practice things the right way, usually they're already calmed down. And if not, that means they're going fully out of control and I need to use another technique, which we'll talk about in just a minute. When the person needs to be corrected, I might say something like, just now I gave you an instruction to load the dishwasher, and you looked at me, but you rolled your eyes, which is not keeping a calm face. That means you're not following instructions. What you should have done is you should have looked at me, kept a calm face, voice, and body, said okay, or you could have asked to disagree appropriately if you needed to tell me something else about it. Then you were supposed to do the task immediately and then check back. Since you chose not to do all 5 steps of following an instruction, I know you're not choosing to follow an instruction right now, and so you have chosen to earn an extra chore. Now in our family, we use extra chores a lot because work is the antidote for a sick character. After that, we're going to be doing some cued practice, some role plays where we work on actually following instructions. They may or may not be related to the original instruction that started this interaction. But if a child chooses to go completely out of control, then they need to be prepared for something else. So I'm going to prepare them ahead of time by doing role plays about that type of correction again and again and again. But what if they are so upset that even if I do a correction, they will not choose to be corrected? Well, then I have to do something called the rule of 3. Now, depending upon the age of your child, you might use the rule of 3, or you might use something called a calm down spot. So a calm down spot is a trigger spot. It's a place to trigger a person to be calm. It is not like timeout. In fact, the person only goes to the calm down spot until they are calm. If they get calm on the way to the calm down spot, they actually do not need to even go to the calm down spot. If you have toddlers, there is another video that goes into more detail about that calm down spot and how to use that instead of using a timeout, which actually has some negative effects associated with it. And that video is called The Best Parenting Advice for Toddlers. So go ahead and look for that too if you want more information there. But you'll probably want to understand what this rule of 3 is, because guess what? Children grow. So what is the rule of 3? The rule of 3 is a type of intensive teaching that helps a person go from being not calm to being calm. Okay, now, number one, most important thing, I've got to be prepared that I'm going to be calm no matter what. And if you need help with that, then I've got a special gift for you at the very end of this video. So stay tuned for that. But you want your child to understand what calmness means, which means you need to have pre-taught that. You also need to let them know that you're not going to talk about a situation until you get to a place of calmness. See, one of the mistakes that parents often make is their child will talk back to them about something, and then they'll talk back, and all of a sudden they end up in a power struggle. Well, this is not beneficial for parent or child, and the problem definitely does not get solved. So what can the parent do instead? Well, the parent can say, all right, I will talk to you about whatever it is, I promise, but we've got to get calm first. So I will always say these cue phrases. So one phrase that I always say is I say, it seems to me that you want to tell me something. I really want to know what that is, but we need to choose to be calm first, then we can talk about it. Now, if they do not calm down with that quick phrase, then I say, it seems to me that you might be choosing to be out of instructional control, so I'm going to begin the rule of 3. The rule of 3 is a skill, it's a technique that I have where I do 3 things 3 times. I do a pre-teach and then an instruction and then a correction or a praise, depending on if they followed that calming instruction or not. Now, this is where I'm going to be using that calming instruction of, I need you to close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Why close your eyes? Because when a person closes their eyes, they're suddenly in a new place and they didn't have to go anywhere, which helps them detach from the situation and sometimes even the emotions that they're experiencing at the time. I will do a pre-teach and then I will do an instruction and then I will do a proper correction, which I already gave an example of. But there are different consequences that a person earns when they are doing the rule of 3, and they're actually larger consequences, things that they really don't want to do if they happen to earn them. They get up to our biggest whammy in our family, which if you don't follow that 3rd instruction, then you choose to lose your privileges for 24 hours. Now, obviously, this wouldn't be the case for like a 6 or 7-year-old. They may choose to lose their privileges for like 2 hours or 4 hours or something. And when I say choose to, you set that up ahead of time, which means they knew it would come, and so they're choosing it if they're choosing to go completely out of control. So usually, all I ever have to say to my child, and this is the honest truth, is if my child's going out of control, I just say, it seems to me that you want to tell me something. I really want to know what that is, but we need to choose to be calm first, then we can talk about it. And if they keep going, then I say, it seems to me that you might be out of instructional control. I'm going to begin the rule of 3. And you know what they do? Even the young ones, they say, Mommy, I'm calm. Or, okay, I'm calm. Let me take a couple of breaths, because usually I'm helping them take breaths to get calm. 3 deep breaths. Huge thing to teach yourself and to teach your children. It makes a big difference. In through the nose, out through the mouth. So work on that on a regular basis when you're helping someone get calm, when they're in the calm down place. And then if you have to use the rule of 3, use that as one of your instructions for a calming instruction. But what usually happens is once they've tested out the rule of 3 or the calm down place enough, they choose that they're just going to get calm when you tell them they might be out of instructional control. And so, for my children and all of the most difficult foster children that were brought to my home, who had things like ADHD, OCD, RAD, spectrum issues, bipolar issues, I taught them all of these things, these techniques and skills. And then I would usually just have to say those 2 cue phrases, and they would choose to be calm, to get ready, and then we would talk about it and figure out the best way to handle their problem, so they didn't have to have a problem anymore. Now you have stayed all the way to the end of this video, so I have a free gift for you. That free gift is my Calm Parenting Toolkit, which is actually a mini course designed to help people start learning calmness the self-government way. So if you click on the link that is in the description below this video that says teachselfgov.com/toolkit, then you will go to the Calm Parenting Toolkit and it will be yours for free. This is a great introductory to learning self-government, and it will start you on the path to calmness, because you know what? If you're not calm, it's really hard to get them to be calm. Work on your own calmness and work on the skills and the techniques you need to help them get calm. And then it just happens all the time and your family becomes a different place. So click on the link now and go to the Calm Parenting Toolkit.